Let's now get into the All Out 2023 predictions. The first match, Luchasaurus versus Darby Allin for the AEW TNT Championship. That's it. I think you've said it many times now. Is it Darby Allin for you?
It's Darby Allin, babyface victory. I mean, he's been going at Christian and Luchasaurus for a little while, so surely it's got to be Darby Allin.
My heart is conflicting with my head here because my head says Darby Allin makes the most sense and is actually probably the right choice. But I just love the image of Christian Cage holding that TNT championship. So for me, I'm backing Luchasaurus here, just more out of hope that I can get more of Christian Cage being the absolute prick that he is.
The father of the year.
The father of the year, my God. Next up, we have Miro versus Powerhouse Will Hobbs. This is going to be another match between two behemoths of a division, in this case, the strongmen. Thanasi, how does this play out?
Look, I think Will Hobbs did make the challenge, and therefore, as the heel, I think he's at least going to get this first victory. Perhaps they're going to have another match down the track, maybe like a special Dynamite or like a special Collision. But yeah, I'm going with the heel victory on this one to balance it out with my Derby prediction.
I think that's a strong prediction, and quite frankly, I don't have logic to go against it. I just think Miro is an equally large man that's going to pose quite the threat, so I think he's going to get the win here. Next up, Kris Statlander versus Ruby Soho for the AEW TBS Championship. Who have you got?
This one's a little bit of a dark horse, but I actually think that Ruby's going to win it. I think we're going to get something special here. Perhaps, two belts in the total of the outcasts, the seemingly broken up outcasts. But yeah, I'm actually going to go with Ruby Soho on this one.
That's a bold prediction. I'm not quite as bold as you on this one. I think Kris Statlander is going to take it and it's going to be fairly comfortable. But we'll see how this one plays out. Next up, we've got Bullet Club Gold, the entire faction this time, not just a portion of it, versus FTR and the Young Bucks. I'm going to say that I think Bullet Club Gold wins this purely based on miscommunication or frustration between the other two teams.
Yeah, I think generally as a rule, I prefer that when it comes to tag teams of two singles guys versus an established tag team, that the established tag team wins. Therefore, I'm going to go with the established foursome is going to overcome the makeshift foursome.
Following that, we've got Better Than You, Bebe versus, and Thanasi, this is a bit of a spoiler for what happened on Rampage. It wasn't the Hardys. It was the Dark Order in Alex Reynolds and John Silver. So with that information, quite frankly, regardless of who would have won that Battle Royal, I'd predict Adam Cole and MJF to, at the very least, win their first title defense.
Yes, I do think that they will. I mean, probably Matt Taven and Mike Bennett might be the right way for the belts to come off, the representatives of the Kingdom, since Roddy Strong is entering the Eliminator tournament. So therefore, it does mean that Better Than You, Bebe will be retaining in my prediction.
Next up, we have one of your favorites in Samoa Joe versus Shane Taylor for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. And need I say who you're predicting on this one?
Shane Taylor, Joe is going to kill you. King of television all the way.
Yeah, I completely agree. And look, to be honest, I don't know much on Shane Taylor, so I'm going to use this as a chance to try and scout him and see what he's about. But yeah, you've got it back, Joe, on this one. The next match we have is Eddie Kingston and Katsuyori Shibata versus the Blackpool Combat Club in the form of Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. On this one, I'm actually backing Eddie Kingston and Shibata. I have a feeling that they're going to get on top, but I think the key frustration is going to be that Kingston didn't get his hands on Castagnoli one-on-one. And this match is very much the one I'm anticipating in the future, just those two going at it one-on-one.
That's an interesting prediction. I'm actually going to go with the heels on this one, purely based on the logic that I said earlier, that they're an established group. But yeah, I'm not extremely confident on this one. I'd rather just see a good, brutal match.
And the next match features the other member of the Blackpool Combat Club in Jon Moxley going up against Orange Cassidy for the AEW International Championship. And I think Moxley's going to be victorious in this one. I think this is the end of Cassidy's International Championship run. And I think for me, the reason I say that is purely based on the way Dynamite closed, which was Cassidy making a big point of the fact he was the champion. He's been a regular defender of his title on TV, and I think for a lot of people, it got to a point where it's like the two were hand in hand, and it didn't compute that this guy is a champion in the company. And I think he decided to make a point of it right before he loses it to one of the biggest stars in AEW, and John Moxley, and that's why I'm picking him.
Uh, I, I wish I could be as cynical as you, but I can't stand the thought of setting someone up just to knock them back down again. So I have to go with Orange Cassidy on this one. I feel like he hasn't quite gotten to that superstar level of AEW, but even still, I think this is his belt, and he's got a lot more to prove. He's going to complete the threesome now. He's going to complete the set. He's pinned Wheeler, he's pinned Claudio, and I think he's going to pin Mox.
The final match we've got down is probably the most anticipated, and that is Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita in a singles match to potentially end their rivalry, or perhaps it's the beginning of a series. But how do you see this first bout between the two in AEW going?
Look, I think we saw some good action against the two at All In. Now, when it comes to All Out, we saw the promo package where Don Callis was feeding the information to Takeshita on the weak points of Kenny, his knee, his neck. But overall, I do want to see the babyface come out on top, because I'm assuming this is going to be the main event. We like seeing babyfaces win in the main event. So again, using logic, I'm going with Kenny.
And going with my heart, I'm going with Takeshita. And this has nothing to do with any sort of bias against Omega. I think he's an incredible athlete. I don't necessarily think he's the best wrestler in the world, like a lot of other people do. But I just think that these two are going to put on a great show. And I think Takeshita is going to take it out here, and potentially down the line, Omega will beat him in a rematch.